Hey everyone, it's Mark. With the Darkest Day storyline in the rearview mirror, Season 1 of Pokémon Journeys is basically finished. So far, Ash has been climbing up the ranks of the World Coronation series, Go has caught a ton of Pokémon, and Chloe has undergone significant character development. We've seen past characters return, old regions revisited, and multiple legendary Pokémon. So, what's next? That's the question I'm here to answer. This video is going to be a discussion based on what has happened so far in Pokémon Journeys, the few pieces of promotional material that have been released up to this point, and then just general speculation on my part, really. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments, whether it's about topics I discussed today, or just anything that you think may happen in Pokémon Journeys. And while you're at it, why not like the video and hit subscribe? I'd really appreciate it. So, I have a few topics I want to discuss in this video. These are the main talking points I want to frame this discussion around. Plus, it will give me an excuse to try out the new chapters feature in YouTube. So, if you want to go straight to a specific section of this discussion, then you can click or tap on the timestamp in the description. Alright, let's get started. Before we can look ahead at what's to come, let's look back at where we usually are at this point in a series of the Pokemon anime. At the time of this recording, Journeys is 46 episodes in. So, where were we in the XY and Sun and Moon series around this same point? Let's start with Ash's journey through Kalos, where, by this point in the series, Ash had already gone on his Mega Evolution story arc with Karina, as well as had his Shalor gym match against her. The group had also spent some time at one of those summer camps, which is usually good for a quick and entertaining story arc. The other surrounding episodes didn't have much to write home about, and we were still a few episodes away from when Serena entered her first Pokemon showcase. So, compared to Pokemon Journeys, XY had been slightly less eventful. It's fair to say, though, that the best of that series was yet to come. But the early stages were more about character development and world building than they were focused on action. Moving over to Alola, the episodes around this point in Sun and Moon were certainly notable. We had Ash's class trip to Kanto, where we reunited with a lot of his old Pokemon, as well as battled against Misty at the Cerulean Gym. Then the series transitioned into Season 2, which kicked off with the introduction of Nebby. This eventually turned into the Nihilego story arc, where everyone went to rescue Lusamine in Ultra Space, and this is actually pretty comparable to Pokemon Journeys. We just saw the conclusion of the main story from Sword and Shield, and Sun and Moon's initial story arc from the games was also finished at this point, too. Now, I only chose to focus on XY and Sun and Moon for this video because they're the two most recent series. I think it's fair to say that no two series of the anime are alike, but they do tend to follow similar patterns. I've always said that I thought the Darkest Day was happening too soon in Pokemon Journeys, but especially when you compare it to the Lusamine and Nihilego story arc in Sun and Moon, maybe Pokemon Journeys is actually right on track. Think about it, Sun and Moon had plenty more epic stories to tell after the Nihilego arc, so I'm optimistic that Journeys will be able to deliver the same, despite the fact that we've already burned through the Darkest Day. One thing that is different from XY and Sun and Moon is Ash's team. I think Lucario is being built in kind of a similar mold to the way Greninja was, but just at a much faster rate. People have speculated that Ash and Lucario may eventually unlock some kind of aura connection that is similar to Ash and Greninja's bond phenomenon, so we'll see if that storyline continues to develop. It is crazy to me that just 46 episodes into the series, we already have Ash's Lucario and Go's Cinderace. I would have expected these two to be fully evolved around episode 100 or so, not by episode 45. Like I said before, I think Ash and Lucario's relationship has a lot more room for growth, so I'm not too worried about that. But what about Go and Cinderace? Unlike most of Ash's other friends, Go isn't working towards a goal like improving as a trainer, gym leader, coordinator, or whatever else their goal may be. Go is focused on catching Pokemon. Like we've seen plenty of times before, Go has had no problem catching weak Pokemon. But this kid has already tried catching legendaries before, and I mean, he did succeed in catching one with Eternatus, and that's thanks to Cinderace's strength. He's going to need that strength in order to catch strong Pokemon in the future, so in that respect, it makes sense that he already has a Cinderace. Go can also catch and raise new Pokemon as well. I have a feeling his Sobble may stay unevolved for the entire series, but my guess is that Go is eventually going to catch a Grookey, and that can become the next Pokemon he starts raising throughout the rest of the series. So, in some respects, you could say that Journeys is ahead of schedule, but when you compare it to XY and Sun and Moon, the series is actually playing out pretty similarly. I'll explore this more in other topics. One of the most notable things in two recent promotional images for Pokémon Journeys was Chloe's prominence in the images. Now, okay, she's still seen beneath Ash and Go, and I am definitely a part of the group that wishes Chloe was on their same level and that the three of them were an equal trio. However, her role as a supporting character may be starting to increase. In these promotional shots, we see Chloe with her Yamper as well as an Eevee, because what an original concept, right? Anyways, we've had a few Chloe-focused episodes so far in Pokemon Journeys, and it looks like she's slowly opening up to Pokemon more and more, and maybe getting interested in following a similar path to her father, Professor Cerise. This may not be the most exciting storyline, but hey, at least it's something. Think back to the XY and Sun and Moon comparisons. By this point in XY, Serena hadn't even made her showcase debut yet, and this was right around the time that Lily started to take on a larger role in Sun and Moon. Do I think Chloe will eventually become as good of a character as either of them? No, quite frankly, I do not. The anime has made it very clear that Ash and Go are the dual protagonists of Pokemon Journeys, and Chloe is very much just a secondary character. It's almost like the anime felt like they had to include her just so they could have some female representation in the show. And in that respect, I really wish the show could do a better job highlighting Chloe. So far in Pokemon Journeys, we've seen the likes of Karina, Chuck, and Lance make appearances in the show. Okay, those are all kind of random. Oh yeah, and we dedicated an entire episode to Ash reuniting with his friends from Alola. There was a lot of speculation off the back of an interview done late this past summer that we could see some old characters return to the anime in Pokemon Journeys, and this is always a topic that gets Pokemon anime fans excited. Everyone wants to see people like Dawn, Gary, and Serena make a comeback at some point, and there's potential for that to happen in Pokemon Journeys. With Ash and Go traveling all over the world as research fellows, what's stopping them from going to the lab where Gary is currently researching Pokemon or running into Clement and Bonnie in Lumio City? And if they gave us a whole episode dedicated to Ash's Alola friends, are we going to get similar ones for other regions? I think it would be really strange to have had that big Alola episode and then not follow it up with similar reunions in other regions. Of course, it's not a certainty that we're going to see all of our favorites return, and any return has to make sense within the context of the story. Ash running into Karina and Chuck made sense because of where they were and what they were up to, and another logical returning character could be Maylene from Sinnoh, which could be where Ash has his next battle against Bee. While these may not be the most exciting returning characters that we're all clamoring for, it is still a nice touch to see some familiar faces every now and again. Additionally, as we just saw with Mewtwo, these returning characters aren't just limited to humans, but to Pokemon as well. We got to see all of Ash's Alola Pokemon, and it's pretty safe to say that this was the same Mewtwo that Ash met in Mewtwo Strikes Back and Mewtwo Returns. Will we get to see Ash reunite with some of our favorite Pokemon like Greninja and Charizard though? Maybe, but maybe not. Like I said before, I think these returns really need to make sense in the given storyline. Now that Ash has a strong team with Pokemon like Dragonite and Lucario, what would be the point of Charizard and Greninja returning other than, oh, wouldn't that be amazing just to see them again? One of the loose ends currently going on in the anime is Lily's search for her father, Mon. In episode 37, we got an update that their family is still searching for Mon, and this has the potential to be a really cool story arc somewhere down the line. Otherwise, why would they have included that scene in the episode in the first place? We know Ash is occupied with the World Coronation series, and we already talked about how Chloe could be getting some more screen time coming up, but what about Go? He's already caught tons of Pokemon, his Cinderace is fully evolved, and he's a pretty decent trainer already. Here's what I think. Remember back to the Darkest Day story arc when Go was traveling with Sonia. One of the lines that stuck out in my head was that Sonia said Go could be a Pokemon professor one day. Interesting. We know Go is really interested in studying and learning more about Pokemon, and he's already a research fellow who takes a much more analytical approach to Pokemon as opposed to Ash's more casual, live-in-the-moment approach. He's on his way to completing the Pokedex, which is basically any professor's dream. And also, look at the parallels between Ash working with Leon during the Darkest Day story arc and Go working with Sonia. It's obvious that Ash being paired with Leon makes sense since they have similar goals to be the best trainer possible, and in a way, Ash kind of wants to be Leon one day, or at least be seen as this trainer on his same level. Go's pairing with Sonia mirrors that, just in a more subtle way. Go may not know it yet, but I think his endgame could very well be becoming a Pokemon professor. This would make sense too, considering Go is somewhat similar to Hop, and he ended up becoming Sonia's research assistant and wants to become a Pokemon professor himself. Could we see Go follow that same path? Like we've already gone over in this video, Ash and Go traveling all over the world brings a lot of possibilities for this series. One of my biggest complaints about Pokemon Journeys is that there's not a lot of continuity from episode to episode, and a large part of that is due to how Ash and Go can just region hop like it's nothing, and be in a totally new location every single episode. But, like we saw with the trip to Alola and with the Darkest Day story arc, these journeys to other regions can be really fun and interesting. So far, they've had a lot of arbitrary trips to Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh, but there are still plenty of important places to visit, and I think they've been saving some of those more interesting locations for later in the series. In fact, they've only gone to Unova, Kalos, and Alola one time each, so there's still plenty more to do in each of those regions. Sure, we could just see quick trips to random locations in each of these regions, or we could see some more compelling stories like a big reunion episode in Lumio City. And what about Galar? They were all over the place in the Darkest Day story arc, traveling to different locations, but there's still so much to do in that region, and so many new places to explore that they haven't been to yet. I wonder if we could see things like the Swordward and Shieldbird story arc make its way to the anime, since it would make sense for Sonia and Leon to call on Ash and Go for help if something important were to happen again. Now, what about the locations from the DLC? The Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra haven't even been mentioned yet in Pokemon Journeys, but at some point you'd think Ash and Go would travel to both of these areas. I think an Isle of Armor storyline writes itself. Ash finds out about the Master Dojo from someone like Bee or Leon, and while Ash goes there to train, Go can research the surrounding area and catch all kinds of Pokemon. I think Mustard, Avery, and Clara would all be hilarious characters in the anime, and it would be a shame if we didn't get to see them. Who knows, maybe Ash would even make friends with the Kubfu. As for the Crown Tundra, this place would be perfect for some legendary research. Imagine Peony in the anime. I need to see him getting possessed by Calyrex. It would be hilarious. And even though we probably won't get to see random legendaries popping up, I think we will definitely see the Galarian legendary birds at some point, and what about the new Regis? The two new Regis would be especially exciting. Just think about Pyramid King Brandon showing up in the Crown Tundra to investigate the place. He and Ash already know each other, and I think his knack for exploration and investigating rare Pokemon would make him and Go fast friends as well. And hey, I did say he'd be one of the top 10 trainers I want to see Ash battle as a part of the World Coronation series, so why not have that happen too? Now that Sword and Shield are seemingly complete, with upgraded versions unlikely to follow, are we finally going to get the Diamond and Pearl remakes we've been waiting for? They likely won't come out until November 2021 if they come out at all, but if they do happen to get released, we could see a tie-in in Pokemon Journeys. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks here. What would you like to see in a storyline related to Sinnoh Remakes? In the past, we got a fun little story arc when Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out when Lyra joined Ash's group, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's release saw things like more Hoenn Pokemon and the return of Steven included towards the tail end of XY. How would Gen 4 remakes get incorporated into Pokemon Journeys? Lastly, we've got the Masterclass Finals to discuss. I think it's a safe bet that the tournament involving the Masters 8 of the World Coronation series is going to be the replacement for the usual Pokemon League Conference arc, and this could very well be the grand finale for the entire series. Ash is slowly making progress up the ranks in the World Coronation series, and his short-term goal is to catch up with Bee and defeat her. Long-term though, we've seen characters like Lance and Rayhan introduced, potentially hinting at the fact that they could be part of the final 8 competitors at the end of the series alongside Ash and Leon. It would not surprise me at all if we know who all 8 finalists were by the time we got there, so we could see a few more of them introduced along the way. Rayhan was introduced by Ash and Go watching a match between him and Leon, so what's to say we don't see something similar with someone like Cynthia or Diantha challenging Leon next? Will Bee climb all the way up to the Masterclass herself, and could we see new characters in the anime like Marnie or Bede take up one of those 8 spots? Or will Tobias make his long-awaited return and just sweep everyone like he did in the Sinnoh League? Let's hope that's not the direction the anime goes with. Outside of the final tournament itself, I'm also excited to see Ash's progress as he continues to climb the ranks. He's already got a stacked squad now that Riolu has evolved, and Dragonite is still undefeated so far. Farfetch'd and Gengar could probably use some extra training and a few more wins, and we can always count on Pikachu as another dependable member of Ash's team. Will Ash catch one more Pokemon and round out his team at 6, or will he catch more than 6 Pokemon in the series and start to rotate them? Or will we see him use some of his former Pokemon when the situation calls for it? I'd be fired up to finally see his Incineroar in action should he ever find himself in a ranked battle in Alola. And there you have it, that's what I think is what's next for Pokémon Journeys. I've really enjoyed this series so far, and even though I have a few small complaints, I think the series is off to a great start, and I hope it keeps getting better and better. Hopefully, we get to see a lot of the things that I discussed throughout this video. Let me know what your predictions are for the rest of Pokémon Journeys by leaving a comment. I read all of the comments I get, and I respond to most of them, so don't be afraid to ask me a question or start a conversation down there. While you're at it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I've got plenty more Pokémon Journeys content on the way, as well as some other exciting ideas. Until then, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.